Coffee houses and English literature. The coffee houses were quite popular in the late 17th and early 18th century in England. They were the lineal descendants of the barbers' shops, the university dining and debating halls and the taverns of the Middle Ages. Here, the ideas and the rough thoughts used to be woven into policy. It was the meeting place of the political philosophers, the budding poets, and the journalists, who used to exchange ideas. Coffee was introduced into London in 1657 by a Turkish merchant who set up a coffee house in Lombard Street with a portrait of himself as a sign over the door. Tea was quite expensive in those days and drinking coffee was in vogue. Alexander Pope refers to this coffee house in his famous mock epic The Rape of the Lock. With the growth of coffee houses, there developed distinctive clientele. Lawyers favoring one, politicians another, and men of letters the third one was the usual practice. The famous coffee house Will's was patronized by Samuel Pepys and John Dryden. This place was termed as the Will's Coffee House. It was a home for scandals and lampoons. Joseph Addison and Richard Steele collected much of their material for the Tatler and the Spectator from these coffee houses. Jonathan Swift visited the coffee house named Button's. The influence of the coffee house as a centre for politics is well illustrated by the attempts of Charles II to suppress them in 1675. But the regulation was not enforced because of the strong feeling against it. The coffee house of that time was the school of wit, dialectic and new trends in literature. What the taverns had been in the 16th century, the coffee house was to the 18th century. At one time, there were 3,000 coffee houses in London which were frequented by all sorts of people belonging to different professions. The well-known writers of the day gathered at these places and discussed literary matters. It was here at the coffee house that Alexander Pope found John Dryden and Joseph Addison, and Dr. Samuel Johnson found their material for periodical essays. Coffee house meetings helped to polish men's words and manners, and raised their standard of living and elegance.